Hey everybody, and welcome back to Rumbleverse Radio. I am your host, Nick, aka Mr. Hype Man. Today I'm going to be bringing you an Ultimate Ultra Omega EX edition of Beginner's Guide. I'm going to be walking you through all of the tips and tricks that you'll need to be awesome at Rumbleverse on day one. Let's get this started. All right, we're going to be going over the basics of Rumbleverse Radio. So if you're already a two-time world champion, you're not going to need most of this, but you still might find some things that you didn't know. So make sure to drop a like if you like all the information that I give you, or if you've learned something new, make sure to give it a like. So let's start off with combo. In Rumbleverse, there are a couple of combos that you can do. There's the normal combo, strike, 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 which does 30, 40, and 80 damage for a total of 150. Then there is strike, strike, vicious. This sends your foe behind you. It launches them up and over. And this does 30, 40, and 10. For a total of 80 damage. Then there is Strike Vicious. This kicks away your foe, knocking them back a few feet. And this does 30 and 100 damage. Both of the last two combos that I mentioned are good for controlling the flow of battle and even the direction of the battle. Strike, Strike, Vicious is great for sending your foe up and over you, causing them to go to the ground and have to reorient themselves. Or if you're on the edge of a building and they're coming towards you, it could send them up and over off of the building. Both combos, Strike times 3 and Strike, Strike, Vicious, end with your opponent on the ground. But with the Strike Vicious, it knocks them back without knocking them to the ground. This allows you to keep the combo going, following the knockback with another Strike times 3 for max damage, or a Strike, Strike, Vicious to keep them guessing. And that's a key to combos, is mixing them up and never letting them know what you're going to do next. Then there is the Charged Chop. This actually stuns your enemy and has a damage of 100. Obviously, this takes a little bit of time to actually charge up, so it does leave you vulnerable, but if you pull it off, it lets you stun them, opening them up for more combos. Blocking, like you see here with the bubble, recharges your stamina faster. And it can also block all strikes and some special moves. If you are out of stamina but you're still in combat, start to block. This will recharge your stamina faster and you'll be ready to fight again much faster. This does leave you open for vicious attacks. Vicious attacks do go through blocking. Charged vicious attacks do a ground pound and send enemies away, knocking them back. If you see someone blocking, this could mean that they are out of stamina, and this could be a great opportunity for a vicious attack. On the flip side, if you are the one blocking to recharge your stamina, you should always be ready with a dodge, just in case someone tries to go in for a vicious attack. Vicious attacks always have a slight wind-up and a red flash. This is a perfect telegraph to let you know it's time to dodge out of the way. Speaking of dodges, they take up a little stamina to perform, so you can't do them endlessly, but they are good for pretty much any kind of situation in the game. Dodges have what is known as I-frames, or invincibility frames. Timing is everything. Time a dodge right, and it could withstand almost anything that is thrown at you in the game. So even if you were recharging your stamina with a block and dodged, yes, you will lose some stamina, but at least you can keep blocking rather than getting attacked. Elbow drops. The higher, the better. You'll know you've reached a good height when flames start appearing all around you like you're a comet coming into orbit. You can bounce an elbow drop off of cars and other bounceable objects like umbrellas. This will give a similar effect to dropping from a higher level. Your distance dropped doesn't reset when you bounce. Instead, it keeps going. The peak bounce is off of 2 cars or bounceable objects. After 3, this will actually reset your distance falling. So keep that in mind. If you knock someone to the ground, like when you do a strike times 3 or other methods, they will start to flash and have stars above their head. This will actually make their stamina grow faster as well. Normal attacks do nothing, so normal strikes will do nothing, or even special abilities. But a good elbow drop will do some damage and instantly get them back up and no longer recovering stamina at a faster rate. And this opens them up to more combos. Ground recovery strike. This is when you are knocked down to the ground and you do a strike. This does slightly better damage than a regular strike, but there is a slight delay before you start a new combo. Ground dodge. This is probably one of the best ways to not only avoid damage while you've been downed, but also get up quickly. Dashing or sprinting. Move around faster than you were previously. That's it. It's dashing, guys. Come on. Dash dump. Dash dump. Dash jump. Push the dash, then the jump to perform a long jump. You only have to hold down the dash for a very small amount of time, so you can almost push them at the same time, but either way, it will end up in a long jump. This is good for covering distances or jumping from one building to the next. Dash strike. This is while you're dashing, you press the strike button. You do a jump double kick. It's a good way to knock opponents back and also stun them just for a little bit. The power of the yeet. Hold down the aim and an arc will show you where the thrown object will land. All throws have tracking, so as long as you are aiming close to the target when you throw it, it will automatically track them. The only way to get away from a thrown object is to dodge, but they have to see it coming. Stamina is what lets you do pretty much any action in the game, other than just walking around and jumping. But if you're climbing, if you're striking, if you're doing vicious attacks, special attacks, even if you jump off a really tall building and just land on the ground, your stamina can be affected. So always keep this in mind when thinking about an engagement. Now let's talk about powders. There are 3 different types of powders. Arm powder, which is the red one, does strength. Core, which is the green one, does your health. And leg powder is the yellow one, which gives you better stamina. Each type of powder increases your overall stats by 10%. This is just 10% of your base, not just 10%. For example, your health starts at 1,000. With 1 powder, it'll go to 1,100. With 2 powders, it will go to 1,200. But technically, 10% of 1,100 would be 1,210. So you see, it's 10% off of your base, not off of what you have right now. If you happen to consume 5 powders, it will give you 20% extra, not 10. And if you consume 10 powders, it'll give you an additional 50%. So, hold on. 10, 10, 10, 10, 20, 10, 10, 10, 10, 50. So if you decide to be one of those red powder only guys and you just go for the arm strength, this means you can get up to 150% of your normal damage. So as an example, if you do a strike, the normal damage on that is 150. But with 10 powders of the red, this goes all the way up to 375. Arm powder also affects your special abilities. Your special abilities will do more damage depending on how much red powder you are consuming. figuring out what combination of powders that will work for you is the best part. You get 10 slots and you get to decide what goes into those 10 slots. So don't be afraid to experiment and figure out what combination of powders works best for you. Do you want more core powder so that you are more likely to survive encounters? Do you want more stamina so that you can stay in encounters for longer? Or do you want more power so that you do more damage, but you might not be able to last as long? Climbing. Climbing is done by jumping onto the side of a building, for instance, and pushing the climb button. This will take stamina the longer that you do it. So you can go all the way up the side of a building if you have the right amount of stamina. So if you've already been in a fight and you've used up some stamina, keep that in mind when you're trying to scale a building. Maybe you don't want to scale as tall of a building because you're a little bit out of stamina, and you need to keep that in mind. Otherwise, you'll just plummet down to the ground and you'll be open for more attacks. If you're able to jump and hit the corner, you can use the climb button to mantle the corner. There are a couple of status effects that are good to know about, like being enraged. This is done by the kind of cartoony effect of having steam come out the sides of your ears. For this, you'll have a slight window of unlimited stamina, and so you can start attacking. Then there are the breaks. The breaks occur when you have no stamina left. So now you are vulnerable because you have no stamina and you can't attack back, but also your character is somewhat stunned and it takes a little bit longer to get the stamina back up. This would probably be a good time to use block. There are some other items that you can pick up. These are stamina drink, which will give you, well, more stamina. Then there's like the big chug version of the stamina drink, which will give you more energy for longer. There's the chicken drumstick, which will give you health, but it only has one stack. Then there's the rotisserie chicken, which will give you health and has 2 stacks of health for more healing. Then there are various melee items like a plastic bat, a metal bat, a wooden chair, a metal chair. All of these you can use for melee, and all of them have varying degrees of durability. You can also do things like pull a mailbox out of the ground, or a stop sign out of the ground, or even a mail deposit box. All of these can be used for melee or for throwing. Then there are these little circles that you can find everywhere. These I'm just going to call elbow drop circles. Basically, doing an elbow drop onto these circles gives you an item. But the higher you do your elbow drop from, the more rare item will spawn from it. So while a tiny elbow drop might just give you a stamina drink, a really big elbow drop might get you a rare special move. Going superstar. Littered throughout the entire map are these stars. You pick these stars up and it goes into your star meter. Not only that, but taking damage and doing damage will also feed the star meter. When this is full, you can go superstar. You will have bonus damage and bonus stamina, and you can do this really cool super move. You will also regenerate life the longer you're in superstar mode. But that's not the only use for superstar mode. If you have your superstar meter full and you go down, you will have an automatic up or an automatic revive. But this is only good in solos. It's already been confirmed that duos will not have this feature. Then there are specials. These are the things where you pick up the book and you read it. Obviously, you have your green, which is normal, your blue, which are rare, and your purple, which are like the epic ones. These are going to do the most damage versus the green ones. I'm not going to go into super detail on this for a couple of reasons. One, there are so many, this would be probably an hour long. But 2, I believe this deserves its own video, so make sure to look out for that video. So those are the basics of Rumbleverse. Things that you should know on day 1. There's still so much to learn, and when the game comes to full release, we'll be able to tell you even more. So make sure to come back here to learn more. There's just one more thing I'd like to teach you, a lesser known thing that you might not know about. Rumbleverse kind of has a double jump, but it's not a traditional one. When you do a jump at the very apex of your jump, or maybe a little bit before the very top of your jump, do an air dodge. This almost acts as a sort of double jump. Maybe not a traditional one, but it is able to keep you in the air longer. So if you're trying to reach the next building and it looks just a little bit too far for a long jump, do a long jump, and at the very top of its arc, make sure to do an air dodge. You'll get a lot more distance that way, and you could make it to the top of the next building. Thanks again for tuning in to the Ultimate, Ultra, Omega, EX. Okay. Ultimate, Ultra, Omega, EX edition of Beginner's Guide. Make sure you come in and subscribe to ThreadX3 Productions for more Rumbleverse content. And make sure to tune in to Rumbleverse Radio every week for a new episode of our Rumbleverse Radio podcast. Thanks so much. I was Nick, aka Mr. Hype Man. And you guys have a fantastic day.
A brawler warrior like you never seen. Imagine the Royal Rumble taking place on the street where it's on site, hand to hand, no snipes. Find chicken in the street to be charged from the fight. Elbow drops from the top of a building. Oh, what a feeling. Damage competition with special moves that are vicious. To be the last one standing in a shrinking ring is the goal. No holds barred, winning is everything. That's where you find Nick and Nate. Nick with a luchador mask, Nate's a hipster, no debate. In the Rumbleverse you gotta brawl, that's the only way. Even though some escape just to brawl another day. It's a magnificent melee, a fun-filled fight for fighters of all age. You had a long week, you need some R&R, you know. And the R&R's a Rumbleverse Radio, yeah.